Hey, do you want to make your voice richer and better sounding? So many people don't like the way that they sound. So I have one simple trick for you today, and it is super easy to learn for anyone, speakers and singers alike. So if you're looking for techniques to improve the way you sound in less than 5 minutes, stick around. Q&A Tuesday, all your voice questions answered. Hey, you're with Elisa James, holistic voice coach and a public speaking trainer. And today it's all about making your voice sound better. Now let's face it, if you feel more comfortable with the way that you sound, you're going to get more out of life because you're going to speak more, share your message with the world more, and be more confident. Now the reason that people get such a shock when they hear their voice back on recordings is that we experience our voice from the bone conduction in our heads. We actually feel the vibration as well as we hear it or speak it out. But however, when others hear us, they only hear the vibration as it travels from our mouth to their ear. And that's a completely different experience. So the trick I'm going to show you today is this: how to change the position of your voice box at will so you can change the quality of your sound. So if you have a high-pitched voice or a weak or a boring voice, you can actually play with your instrument and see which larynx position works the best for you. Now, as speakers and singers, we can change the position of the larynx anytime we want. This will absolutely change the sound that others hear as well. For example, Shakespearean actors use a wide open throat and a dropped larynx position to keep a stable projected tone when they're speaking in the theatre, especially since they have no amplification. Now, opera singers use their muscles in a very similar way. Let me show you. Here's a common phrase from the Shakespearean play Hamlet that you might be familiar with. To be or not to be, that is the question. Listen to me say that phrase with a lifted larynx in high position. To be or not to be, that is the question. Do you see how it's sort of light and high and even childlike? So let's look at what would happen if we had a dropped larynx position, a lowered larynx position. To be or not to be, that is the question. You can hear how that's a completely different color. Not only did I change the pitch at will, of course, but I opened my throat muscles and dropped my larynx. What would happen if I used that trick in singing as well as speaking? You can do that anytime you want. Now, I'm not an opera singer by any stretch, but you will hear a distinct difference when I use the same technique on the same pitch this time. So here's a simple sung phrase with a high larynx. It's called Caro mio ben. You ready? Caro mio ben, credi miel men. That's with a very relaxed but slightly high and lifted larynx. Now I'm going to sing the same phrase with a dropped larynx in the same pitch, in the same key. Have a listen to the difference in quality and color. Caro mio ben, credi miel men. See how it completely changes the sound? We can do these little tricks anytime we want. You just have to be willing to do a little bit of work. So let's try something together now and exercise so you can actually feel it and hear it for yourself. Let's channel our inner Morgan Freeman, shall we? Thank you. Step 1. With a high larynx, we're going to use this simple English phrase. Around the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. Now, to get your larynx into a high position, we're going to do this. Put a little happy smile on your face and then take in a breath of surprise like this. When you do that, you'll notice a few things happening. I want you to place your fingers around your voice box and you can feel it move upwards when you do that little smile. Now, you're going to pretend that you're 5 years old with a very high, bright and childlike larynx and say the phrase. Around the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. It should be easy to produce and quite bright sounding and very young. You see, a small voice box gives a small and bright sound. So of course, the younger you are, the higher your pitch. Now, let's try it again this time with a low larynx on purpose. So let's place our fingers around the voice box again. Do a big yawn this time. And now you should be able to feel the voice box drop down into a lowered position. You can also actually get the same effect by doing this little trick. Simply lower your jaw and dip your tongue. Let's choose the lowered larynx position and say the same sentence again. Around the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. You notice that it sounds very different. You'll also notice that it's actually a little harder to produce. You have to work harder because the larynx is heavy and low. It takes more muscle effort and concentration. But if you sound too high when you're speaking normally, you might want to play with that trick and lower the larynx a little bit to see if you can improve the quality and the color of your sound. I hope you've enjoyed this episode today. I'm Elisa James, Holistic Voice and Presentation Coach. Thank you so much for joining me. If you liked this video, I'm sure that you'll love the other videos on my channel. I'll see you next time.